Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. I'll invite my guests in just a couple of minutes. Just a reminder, there's several different ways you can listen to the show and watch the show. One is online at kdow.biz. You can go on and click the button, listen live. Also on the radio, Monday through Friday, we're 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. You could listen to us on KDOW 1220 a.m. on the radio, or we're streaming live right now on Facebook. For those people that are on Facebook, thank you for watching and interacting or corresponding with us. Also, be sure to download the podcast. That's really what we want you to do. For those that are busy, have a lot of stuff going on, the podcast is the best way to follow the show. You could listen to it at your own time, at your convenience. You could go to iTunes and just type in Real Estate Radio Live and get the podcast that way, or you go to our website, and that is reradiolive.com. We're a live show during the show. If you want to give us a call, if you have any questions for me or my guests, the number is 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220, or you could text the questions in 408-838-9060. Most of you know the focus of the show, almost 8 years now I've been doing it, has been education information. And what we work really hard is to provide you with great guests like we have today, good content information to help you, the consumer, make wise decisions in and around your real estate. There's so much to do with real estate. So today I'm going to welcome in my guests, and it is Jolyce and Steve, and they're both with Suddath, right? Is that right?
It's Suddath.
Suddath. I'm sorry. I'll get that.
That's all right.
Suddath Moving. I want to welcome you today, you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So before we get started, we're going to talk about the moving business, the industry, Silicon Valley, the ins and outs, who's coming, who's going. Before we do that, what I'd like to do is have each of you, if you could just give us a minute, a little bit about your background and then your current roles and responsibilities with your company.
I'll do the honors. Thank you. And this is Jolyce Ledvina.
Jolyce.
Yes. I'm the regional director, a Western regional director over our residential sales team for Suddath Relocations, and I actually started in the industry right out of college.
Wow.
About 10 years ago. Okay, 30 years ago. Started with a large national company back in Little Appleton, Wisconsin. So yes, I'm a cheesehead, Packer fan, and transferred to California back in 1988. And I was with this national relocation or transportation company for 14 years before I started my own business. And I was a software reseller of a barcoded warehouse management system. So dipped my toe on the technology side. Came back to Suddath, or joined Suddath in 2010, where I've been ever since. So again, managing the sales team throughout the West Coast for Suddath Relocations.
Very good. Thank you.
And my name is Steve Radnich, and I've been in this business for 44 years.
Wow, look at you.
And
still going strong.
Yes, sir. And my second generation in the moving company. My father started a moving company many years ago. And so I've been a packer, I've been a driver, I've been a dispatcher, I've owned a couple of them, and today I've been with Suddath now, and what they call an executive salesperson. I'm the one that goes out and does the estimates on the move.
Okay.
And for COD moving and what have you. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Very good. You're welcome. So Suddath, tell us a little bit about the company, where you're located, and to give us kind of an overview about the company itself.
Sure. Suddath is actually a family name. It's a family name. It was started in 1919, so nearly a century old, and started by Carl Suddath. Okay. And believe it or not, his grandson and granddaughter are very active in the company. They're on the board of directors. So the company that started nearly a century ago now has grown to 20 locations throughout the U.S. over 2,200 employees and counting. We got operations in Shanghai and London.
Wow.
That's actually part of our RMC relocation management company called Lexicon.
Okay.
Have alliances, global alliances in over 150 countries. And we are the largest agent for Unigroup, which has the holding company is the holding company for Mayflower and United.
Yeah. Those are probably the names that people recognize most, and you guys are a
Exactly.
subsidiary or a holding company for United.
Yeah, an agent for United, exactly. Yeah, and that's very common that people may not have heard of Suddath.
Right.
We do, what we like to say is we move people, businesses, and product. So it's a broad spectrum of activity in relocation services that we do offer to residential folks and corporate America.
Yeah. Well, it's a crazy business. I know you guys have both spent a lot of time in it. You've seen your the ups and downs, and here in the Silicon Valley, especially working in different areas. How does this area differ? Because I often wonder, this is unique in so many different ways. The business environment, the people coming and going. Seems like lately, is there more people leaving than coming recently?
Well,
it's hard to say.
Interesting you asked that question.
Yeah.
I was talking with Steve earlier today, and the AMSA, American Moving and Storage, just put out some stats. And historically, California was an inbound state. And
Makes sense.
And just the stats have flipped in the last 2 years. So while California is still number one in volume, in other words, where are people moving around the country,
right.
California has about 20% of that share.
Okay.
So we're still the number one state in volume moving in and out, but we flipped the inbound versus outbound.
Yeah.
We're about a 48% inbound and about 52% outbound.
Wow.
So that's interesting. I think is a different reasons that would attribute to that.
Yeah, one of the other things is with the California, a lot of people are, because of pricing and what have you, they're getting out of the Bay Area and they're going way up north in California, and they're going east in California.
Okay.
Because of the home pricing.
Right.
Okay. You can't from here to go to L.A. Prices are pretty much the same. But I see the trend of people that are retiring, and they're going up north to the gold country, if you will. Right. And they're saving, the cost of the housing is a lot less.
Yeah. Well, I think we're fortunate, or California is fortunate, I should say, that the business environment's so strong here. It's a great place to live, but it's also a very expensive place to live and do business.
It is, and we see that all the time.
Yeah.
You've got both spectrums. You got the residential moves, as we call it. That's
right.
in real estate, and Steve sees this all the time as well. If people have a choice, and if they're getting toward retirement age, we see that's an exodus to a degree. Companies, on the other hand, big influx. Yeah. We work with a lot of Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies. We do a lot of moving through our RMC, or just directly, as we call it, and still a lot of inbound for that spectrum. Yeah. Of course, millennials versus baby boomers and so forth. So you see trends in different directions depending on the age and demographics.
Speaking of that, how does that differ? Are you guys seeing the millennials versus maybe the baby boomers in terms of the experience or the interaction? I mean, it's obviously they're using technology more. They expect things maybe quicker, faster. Do you guys see any differences, or is a move and a move? Doesn't matter who it is. I mean, to a certain extent.
Well, it's changed. One of them, the retired people, the baby boomers, been here forever. When it's time to move, the main thing I try to teach them is that, if you haven't seen something for 6 months, don't move it. And a lot of times they look at you like, well, I need to scale the cost down, so they're getting rid of things, right? Because some of the people have been in the homes for 20, 30 years. Yeah. And so they're looking at it going, I got to cut this down. I said, well, you know what? If you haven't seen it, get rid of it. Whereas the other ones, they don't have a whole lot. Right? They're young. They're more transit, if you will. They can move from here to New York to Atlanta, knowing that they're going to be moving in the next few years anyway. Okay, so they're taking less. Okay, which for them it's great.
Very good. Well, walk us through the process, if you would, for the listeners. Someone wants to move. What's the first thing they do? Kind of take us through, if you guys will, that process from the phone call, the interactive, if someone shoots you an email, or however that communication process starts. Kind of walk through that, if you would.
So what happens is when somebody's about ready to move, the first thing they're going to do probably is list their house, okay? Yep. And then they're going to hopefully talk to either friends, relatives, a referral, someone that hopefully we've moved, and they're going to call for estimates. And they usually call 1, 2, or 3, sometimes more, but usually about 3 people to come out and give them a competitive quote.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, that's what I do, is I go out to the residence, and in turn I'll walk through the house with the customer, and I'll sit down with them first for a half hour or so and try to explain to them what we're all about, and also what and answer any questions they have as far as what their needs are to get this move accomplished. Because each house is different. Mm-hmm. Some houses, some of them I walk in, they say they could care less. They've moved with, I moved their family member, and they say, just move me, whatever it takes. Love those people. Right. The flip side is some of them are very cautious about who they're going to move with, mm-hmm. and they have a lot of questions. And that's where my experience, I can answer those questions, work with them, and make sure that we're on the same page even before we start to do a walkthrough. Yeah. When we start to do the walkthrough, today's, we were talking about this earlier. The way they used to do it was on a 4-piece or 3-piece carbon. They used to flip the carbons over. And nowadays it's all up by electronics, iPads, and what have you. Fantastic. So we can do a complete walkthrough with the customer in about a half hour to an hour, hour and a half or whatever. Get a good feel for what needs to be packed, what needs to be loaded, what's not going, what they're going to pack, mm-hmm. and then put together a competitive pricing based on what their needs are. And then I could just put it in a printer and give it to them. Right. And so, and then, of course, they could look at it, and then if we need to redo a quote because of after they've, the initial quote, they've changed some things, mm-hmm. then, of course, I can always come back out and redo the quote. And I don't mind doing that at all because of the fact that things always change.
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes, they'll be talking about, do I really need that bedroom set, or do I really need this and that? And as the changes go, I'll be more than happy to redo it for them.
Well, I'm sure every customer is different in so many different ways. Is it typically volume, weight, combination? Kind of take us through. What's that?
So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all 3 services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Sorry about that last little hiccup there on the first segment. We're back with you Monday through Friday again. Today I'm here with my guest in studio. For those that are just tuning in just right now, you can listen to us on the radio at KDOW 1220 AM. We're streaming live on Facebook, and also you could also go online. If you go to kdow.biz, click on the button that says Listen Live. You could follow us that way as well. In studio today, I have my guest, Jolyce Ledvina. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. She's the Regional Director of Business Development for Suddath Moving Company, and also Steve Radnich, the moving consultant. Both talking about the moving business, a little bit about the structure, how it works. Before this first segment ended, we want to continue talking a little bit about kind of the pricing, you guys. How does pricing work? Pounds, size, shapes. Give us kind of an idea how you guys, price on your models when you go out and service the customer.
So there's actually 2 types of pricing. If you're moving locally or within the state of California, it's done by and a local. It's like 50 miles or more.
Okay.
And then the way that works is it's by weight and mileage. But if it's under 50 miles, it goes locally, which is by the hour. So we have a set rate. Actually, it's a max 4 tariff, and we give a discount off of that rate. Okay, and so that would be one way. The other way is if it's going interstate, you have a there's a mileage and a weight would get you a transportation cost, And then on top of that, you would add any packing, any unpacking, any third-party servicing, as in crating, disassembling of things that movers do not do.
Right.
And it's all pretty much cut and dried. When you get a quote from us, then it's all pretty much cut and dried on the quote as to what costs are there. Okay.
Right.
But the PUC governs the local and intrastate, the Public Utilities Commission, and then on the interstate, it's the I can't say this. It's the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Okay, they're the ones that govern the rates for the long distance.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's we put the rates together, they okay them, and then we present them to the customers.
Those are regulated.
It's regulated,
It's all
regulated
regulated.
industry.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all regulated, which is
Okay.
good. That's a good thing.
It's very good.
Yeah.
So talk about, you guys have been in business a long time. You're very successful. Obviously, you're doing very well. I always want to find out, what is the difference? What is the difference between your company, your competitors? We're all in different industries. We're in somewhat the same industry, the real estate. We all have competitors. What is the difference with your company? What do you think separates you guys from your competitors?
I'd like to say several things, but first of all, as I mentioned earlier, Suddath, it's a family company.
Right.
And the big thing with us is standards and policies, following procedures. So, for example, just which is a concern, and we present to realtors and probably people that you know, and other corporations that we speak to, and one of the first questions we ask they ask us is, for starters, how do you take care of my customer's home?
Right.
So when we walk into a home, our crews are trained. For starters, everybody has background checks. Anybody that your customer comes in contact with, which would include me, which includes Steve, which includes all of our crews, have background checks, and they're drug tested, every single person. So that includes even the helpers that the drivers may get. Very critical, offers peace of mind to our customers, of course. We also have rigid standards. Anybody on to our team as a driver, as a CDL driver, that's a long-distance driver, packers, crew members go through training. And we call it the hard training and the soft skills.
Yeah.
So, if you know what I mean, it's the soft skills. It's when it's the showing up on time. It's being in uniform. Okay, what does the uniform look like? It is the introducing yourself and, of course, the etiquette in the home.
Right. No, that's a big deal. I tell you, as you're talking about those, there's a big difference. And what I mean by that is, you're calling on someone to move your home. In some cases, you've been there for 50 years. You have stuff that's extremely important. Grandchildren, families grown. There's a lot of memories. And to make a call that someone's not licensed, or someone you're not sure if they just picked them up off the road for a quick hand, you don't know. Those are a lot. That's a lot of important stuff to be putting in your hands. So I think the things you just described are very, very important to most people, I would think, rather than cost, because I always tell people, you could always get something cheaper, right? I don't care what you do.
You can. And what we talk about is that's a great point, Joe. What is the difference between value and cost?
Right.
Because you can always get something cheaper, Absolutely. As you said, but what is the value for the move? And I love the way you set that up as well, as some people have been in their home for many years. Mm-hmm. That's all of their possessions. That's their family memories. And they're entrusting a mover that they've never met before to come into their home, pack up their goods, and not see their goods for another 2 or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And trust that you're going to deliver it on time in the same condition that we picked it up in.
Right.
That's a lot of trust.
It is.
And that's what we instill. So the people that go into the home, such as Steve right here, that's trust and confidence to be able to express that to the customer and asking questions, listening. Everybody's needs are different. Some people are moving to be closer to mom and dad. Some people have an exciting adventure because they've got a new job in front of them, or they're getting married, or they're retiring. But everybody has a different reason to move and different needs.
No, I appreciate that. And also the fact of being aware and really understanding what the people are going through that are moving. You just made a good point. It could be death in a family. It could be someone's finally worked at home for 60 years and now he or she is not there longer. So I would think that when you guys go in, and you guys do a very good job at this, of course, know your customer a little bit, right? Kind of know what you're walking into potentially, and be careful, because one situation the conversation could be completely different than the next person.
So with that said, what was taught to me years ago by my father, two of the toughest professions to be in is selling a home, because you're trying to get them the best dollar you can for their home,
Right.
and moving somebody, because you're locking everything in that van and you're taking off, and there goes all their worldly professions. And so the customer, and I've asked people about that. They say, you know what, you're right. Those are the two toughest things that they look at. Okay, and I know from being in the business for a long time that's and I've talked to lenders, I've talked to real estate people, and they say, you know what, you're right. You know, those are the two two toughest professions, I should say, to be in.
Yeah.
Especially for a customer that's moving.
Well, we're going to take our next break in just a couple of minutes, but let's talk a little bit about technology. We were chatting a little bit of that off air before we went on, and every single one of our businesses, our industries are affected by technology. Let's face it, I say it all the time, you could put your head in the sand, you could ignore it, but it's here, and we have to try to adapt, all of us. What types of things what kind of services, what kinds of technologies do we have to understand better, deploy? What are you seeing in your business, both from the consumer side and then on your business side, for technology that might be changing one way or another?
Sure. From the consumer side, in other words, what does our customer see?
Right.
And for starters, I'll go back to what Steve said a little bit earlier. It's in the home. The iPad, the technology, the tariffs are all automated. When I went into the home 30 years ago, I had a 4-inch tariff and opened it up and spent an hour there just doing the pricing. Right. So that's come a long way. It's nice for the customer, because now they're getting an automated, printed, what we call an order for service. Even the signatures for the credit card or their form of payment is done online. So it's very simple, very nice. The whole process cuts down time in the home as well. The other thing that's really cool is virtual surveys. Very similar to FaceTime.
Right.
Absolutely. Joe, it kind of gets back to what we said earlier about generations. Millennial versus baby boomer or whatnot. Is the millennial wants it done now, and they want it done quick. Right. And I will send you a text, and I don't want to take more than 10 minutes. Right. But take care of my goods. Yeah. So so we have to adapt. Yeah. And the virtual surveys is something we started doing or testing over a year ago, and it's pretty much in play right now. I haven't got to talk about the PUC and the federal legalities of getting it in place. But basically what happens is we send the customer a link. We'll catch up.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Going to come right back. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Give us a call, 1-800-516-1220 if you have any questions. We'll be back with you to continue in just a couple minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Hi, this is Joe Kuchera of Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We are your go-to resource for all aspects of real estate, including buying, selling, refinancing, building, and legal and tax advice, and much more. You can subscribe to Real Estate Radio Live podcast on iTunes and Stitcher to listen to an engaging discussion about anything and everything real estate. So make sure you get our app, RE Radio Live, in the iTunes store to follow the show.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining us again this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Again, we're with you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4. In studio today, I have my guests, Jolyce Ledvina, right?
Yes, that's right.
I'll get that. Regional Director in Business Development for Suddath, and also Steve Radnich is a moving consultant, kind enough to spend some time with us today talking about the moving business. Most of you know that whether it's personal or business, these folks move you anywhere, and they've been doing this for a long time, and they do an excellent job. So that being said, you guys, if someone wants to reach you, if they have questions about your business, your service, or how you might be able to help them, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Best way would be to give me a call direct at 408-644-MOVE, which is 6683.
All right. Any website, or is the phone number the best to...
phone number is probably the best.
You can go to our website as well, which is www.suddath.com.
Got it. Okay, very good. All right, I think when we just took the last break, we were talking about technology, how it's changed. You had mentioned, Jolyce, that the issue with the millennials versus people wanting it quicker, faster, and there's got to be. I mean, we all have to be sensitive. One of the things that's really, really, and you guys know better than anyone. Yeah, there's technology we have to adapt and understand and learn. But there's this human element still that I don't care what kind of technology you have to be really careful of. And what I mean by that is I think some people think that technology is everything and it's changing everything. And it is changing some things. But in a business like yours, it's still very personable. And there's a lot of emotions going on when you're moving houses, right? So
it's very personable.
Yeah.
I've talked to people and I have to spend time with them. I do a walkthrough. I sit down. I talk to them, and and there's times where I may not get the job, but they'll let me know. You know what? You were the most personable guy, and you seemed like you knew what you were talking about. Because my price may be here, and someone else may come in way down here. But bottom line is, it's very personable. It's you have to be.
It's easier said than done. It is a skill, though, isn't it, you guys? When you walk in and you connect with someone at a certain level where they have that trust. There's a skill, and I think, I know everybody tries to hire that way. We all try to do that, and hopefully we do as much as we can. But all of us have been in a business or have had a service come to our house or a business where for some reason you feel this connection, you want to do business with that person, and other times they're like, you know what, I don't care what your price is. I don't really like you. Right?
Yeah,
What's the magic behind that when you guys hire? I mean, obviously you've done a great job. You got some good people, but you have to make sure that continues.
You do. I think from the front end, and really setting the wheels in motion. It's Steve. We always say he's the face of the company. So what you look at, and that's also the first impression. So when someone goes in the house, you really have to have that consultative approach.
Right.
And it's listening, as I said a little bit earlier. And it's a term we always hear, but it's a skill
I agree,
we don't
100%.
always have. And so that's the thing, is because, like we said earlier, everybody's moving for different reasons, and you have to listen to the person and why they're moving and what their concerns are.
Right.
Everybody's concerns are different, and you don't want to rush through the move. Sometimes we'll go into the home, and they assume it's going to be 20 minutes to walk through a 4-bedroom home, and that could take 2 hours. And
right.
And it's setting the stage for that as well, so they understand that, please allow enough time to go through the home so we can do a very thorough job and be very transparent with costs. We've all heard horror stories in the past of everything from furniture being held hostage to you name it. And the vast majority of movers are very honest and very fair. It's always those few that we call them rogue movers or unlicensed that you hear about that. But it's a good point.
Yeah.
It's just listening to the needs of the customer.
Very good. How about, let's talk a little bit about the different types of shipping methods. What I mean by that is, you're hearing about the pods and the containers and a part of a truck and a part of a unit. Talk a little bit about the services that you guys offer. If someone wants to, literally move a single person across the country or somewhere versus, an entire family that's got a 6,000 square foot house and then some. What kind of different programs do you have, so to speak, I guess?
Well, as Jolyce told you earlier, if it's 5,000 pounds or under, we like to use the containers.
Got it.
Okay. It seems to work better for the customer. They can get it there and possibly get free storage out of it for a certain amount of days by doing the containers.
Okay.
Price-wise, it works pretty much the same as the other, but for smaller shipments, customers like it because all their stuff is in one container, 2 containers, 3 containers. They don't have to, share the truck with anybody, and so they like that. The other way would be, of course, using the moving van, and either they can, depending on how much weight they have, it's a half the van, 3/4 of the van, or it's the whole van. However they want to do it, it's a matter of whatever needs they want. Okay, I've moved people that they want to split the shipment, move some of it in 2 weeks, and move the rest of it when they sell the house. Okay, which is fine, but then they know there's going to be 2 separate cost factors.
Right.
Not that much of a difference in price, unless, if you move it all once or move it twice, there's not that big of a difference. But again, it's whatever their needs are.
Right.
And we cater to their needs. That's how you get their business.
So what are some of the tricks, I shouldn't say tricks, or maybe suggestions? Someone's out there, they're getting ready to move, they're going to call you guys. some ideas where they could either save money or be better prepared when you guys show up. Give us some insight onto that.
So one of the best ways is before we come out there, they
Okay.
need to sit down and figure out exactly what they think they want to move,
Okay.
and they know for a fact they're not going to move.
Okay.
And then when I get out there, of course, we can sit down and we can talk about it. And again, I tell them same thing I said earlier. If you haven't seen something in 6 months or a year and you haven't used it, you probably don't even need it.
Right.
It doesn't work well at my house, but that's besides the point. but the big thing on it also is the fact that when they start thinking about doing their own packing, we go into a house and we have to do a full pack or a partial pack. That could be $1,000 or more, $2,000. In some big houses, it's $3,000-$4,000. If they want to save money, we explain to them that they can go out and pack themselves, provide their own boxes, pack everything they want, and then that also gives them an opportunity to go through and get rid of things they don't think they need as they're packing it themselves.
Okay.
It's easier for them to look at a mover. So I just pack everything.
Right.
We'll worry about it on the other end.
Okay.
But that's one way, to do it. There's other ways, and again, getting rid of items is probably it's tough to do. I've watched people argue about if they want to take this bedroom set or that bedroom set or this piece of furniture that they've had for 20 years, but it's a very comfortable chair.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest things.
All right. What about valuable items, you guys? I mean, stuff of extreme value. Do you encourage them to take that personally, to ship that differently? What if someone has, expensive paintings or jewelry, and you probably run into that? How does that work typically?
We do that. We see that all the time. We actually, part of the coaching and consulting process is, well, first of all, there's things we just cannot take.
Okay.
Anything that's combustible or flammable.
Makes sense.
All right. Propane tanks, things like that. And we coach customers, even aerosol cans. So we'll coach people on that, and then perishable food and some of the things like that. It also depends on how far you're going, locally versus global. We have a different set of standards there as well. Jewelry, currency, things like that, collectibles, we point that out to people. There's a list of recommended you take on your own, but you can't always do that. To your point, Joe, you've got artwork. You got what we call high-value items. So part of the process, which is very important, and actually by law, people like Steve, when they go into the home, have to explain the valuation process. Now, you may call it insurance. We can't call it that. We don't have insurance.
Right.
It's called valuation or full value protection.
Okay.
So that's something that we have to explain. The customer can do nothing, and it's called carrier-based liability. Doesn't take into consideration value of the piece, and then we discuss full value protection. Then finally, the third level to that is high value, exactly what you said. So we'll go through the home and point things out to customers, or if there's anything valued at more than $100 per pound, you need to item a list. Does not cost any more, but we want to know about those items in the event something takes place, because what happens is you're going to pack it. We're going to have specialty packing with it. The driver will inventory it and take extra care with it. So that's something that's a really good question, because people really need to be made aware of that, of what the options are for full valuation.
Right. Now, what about the different types of service? And I'll give you an example. Someone says, you know what, I don't even want to tackle this stuff. Can you guys bring boxes? Do you have people that can help me pack? Or is it, you know what, I want to pack everything on my own. I want to do as much as I can and save as much as I can. You probably do you have both types of service? Is that how that works?
We do.
Okay.
We do. Yeah, you can even do the middle, partial pack.
Okay.
So we can come in and people do confuse that. Sometimes people think packing is loading the truck. That's loading. Packing means taking things out of the cupboards, packing your linens and your blankets and your clothing, and exactly. So we can do none of it or all of it or somewhere in the middle.
And so I'm sure you guys also have someone's packing themselves checklist or maybe handy tips, how to pack stuff,
we have
fragile items, things like that.
We have the brochure that we give to them that tells them if they're going to pack themselves, this is how you pack it, this is the size box to use. And the difference, of course, is PBO, packed by owner, versus CP, carrier pack. So a lot of times it's they want us to pack the beds, of course, for sanitary purposes. And then they may look at it and say, you know what, we're going to do everything, but you do the kitchen, because that's their breakables, fragile items. Okay,
I see. And
then artwork. Okay, if it's a nice piece of art, they'll say, you know what, we want you to pack that one, and that one. So again, everybody's different.
Yeah. All right. All right, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, we're going to finish up. If you have any questions about moving, maybe you're getting ready to move, maybe you have a family member, friend, coworker, give us a call, 1-800-516-1220. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We'll be back with you to continue the show in just a couple of minutes.
I didn't talk about it.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. As we wind down the show, just a few minutes left. My guests in studio, Jolyce and also Steve with Suddath, and they're talking about moving, the logistics of moving, and all the different things around it. Seriously, what I'll do is anytime I have someone on my show, we have an idea who's coming on, what kind of business they do, what their background is, a lot of this stuff. And I can tell you that if you're getting ready to move, whether it's personal, business, commercial, doesn't matter. These are the people to call. Give them a chance. They've been doing this a long time. They do a super job with customer service, and they'll take really good care of you. So speaking of taking really good care, you guys have a good cause. I want you to tell us a little bit about what's going on here that you support as well.
Thank you. We have a partner. It's a charitable company or organization called Move for Hunger.
Okay.
We actually started this about a year ago nationwide for Suddath, and how that works is, again, it's a nonprofit charitable organization, but how it works is anytime we move somebody locally or we're packing somebody going long distance and they do not want to take their non-perishable food, we will pack it, no cost. We will bring it back to our warehouse, and Move for Hunger comes to our warehouse.
Wonderful.
Picks it up, and they will distribute it, and they keep it local, so the food stays here local in our community.
That's great. That's
yes.
wonderful. Good cause. Anybody else wants to participate in that? So how would they do that if someone wanted to participate in this?
Okay, so we've got, that's in the home if somebody's moving. And
I see. Okay.
But they can always bring food to our
right,
warehouse. But
right.
Steve, you might want to share an upcoming event next week
why
for
don't
Giving
you?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So next Giving Tuesday is a yearly event that they have, and we are fortunate to be able to be a part of it this year.
Mm-hmm.
We will have a truck and myself and maybe one or two other people out at a Lucky's Supermarket from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucky's on 6109 Meridian Avenue in San Jose in the Almaden Valley area. And that's Tuesday the 28th between 11 and 3. Bring down non-perishable foods, and I'll be there to greet you and to receive it from you. But again, it's a great cause, and we're hoping that everybody will come down and participate.
Very good. All right, we have a couple minutes left. International, talk a little bit about you guys move stuff all over the place. What percentage of business roughly is international? And I just want to make sure for those out there listening that are coming in and back and forth that you're also a resource for them.
International, yes. That's it's somewhat of a different animal.
I'll bet.
Some of the processes are similar, and then there's, for obvious reasons, it'll be very different. Mm-hmm. Probably about 15 to 20% of our business is international, meaning anywhere globally, and it includes Hawaii and Alaska as well. People sometimes forget about that.
Right.
The mode of transportation, you've got either air or what we call surface, which is steamship.
Okay.
As you can imagine, air will be more expensive. It gets there faster, but it's going to be more expensive. And the big thing with international is preparation in advance, meaning you have to be fully aware of customs. And we coach. One thing, we've got counselors that as soon as somebody is moving with us, whether it's domestic or international, you're immediately assigned a personal customer service coordinator or a counselor that's really going to hold your hand the entire way.
Okay.
But when it comes to international, you have to prepare for things that you cannot take. There are certain countries, Joe, for example, you cannot take alcohol. You cannot take firearms.
Okay.
Places in the Middle East, you cannot take videos or music. So you got to be very, very conscientious up front. Steve mentioned PBO, packed by owner. You can't do that on international moves because all the inventories, the manifest has to be very detailed as far as what's coming into that country. Again, we coach on the activity, make it very seamless for the customer. But it's definitely something, especially with our corporate clientele. We do quite a bit of international. We have a separate division called Suddath International that can take care of those moves.
Okay. Yeah. While I'm talking about that too, I want to make sure our listeners understand. You guys move commercial as well. So if you're out there listening to the show or watching the show or listening to the podcast later on, if you have a commercial business or business, I just want to make sure everybody knows you guys move commercial too, not just residential.
We do. In most all of our locations around the country, we work with several Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies that do a lot of activity. And you talk about the Bay Area being on fire. We've got men on site on a daily basis at several corporations in the Bay Area, actually throughout L.A., Portland, Seattle, and throughout most of our locations. So, yes, commercial activity is growing, a growing segment of our business and something we do on a daily basis.
Yeah. What would be the typical time element? Someone wants to move or set something up, whether it's commercial or residential. What is kind of from the time they contact you? Probably depends on all kinds of factors, but how long could they expect for someone to actually come out and visit the site? Obviously, it depends on their schedule and all that, I realize, but what kind of turn times is usually on something like that?
Well, normally what happens if they call up for an estimate, it's usually we can do it the next day or the following day.
Okay.
Because when I've gone out there the next day or the following day, a lot of them say, well, you know what, somebody else could not get out there for a week or so.
Yeah.
And they've kind of, just kind of lost track of those people. So we try to get out there, and I try to get out there as quickly as possible. Because a lot of times they need to move within 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So when someone's ready to move, I ask for at least 2 weeks' notice for moving.
Right.
So we can coordinate the move, make sure we have the right trucks, the manpower, whatever needs to be done on that. And it takes some time, it takes some process of timing, and it takes a little bit to put it together.
Yeah.
If I could jump in just a quick...
about 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, comment to that. And it's also varies based on summertime versus non-summertime. Summertime, we probably need about a month's notice because of the capacity. We're at peak, what we call, and then non-summertime, about 2 weeks' notice for household goods.
And that's a good point. So you better be your planning. So are people going to, real quick before we go to, so does that mean typically people would pay a little less potentially if they move off peak?
Great point.
Time?
Yes. Peak season, the rates could go up 15-20%, which is between May and September.
Okay.
And non-peak is the balance of the year, so you're gonna pay a little bit less if you move non-peak.
All right. All right, Joe Kuchera of the Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you guys very much. Great show. Great to have you on the show. And if you need anybody for moving, these are the people to contact. Also, you could get it to our website, reradiolive.com. We're with you Monday through Friday. Be sure to tune in. Take care until tomorrow.
For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Tune in, log in, download our podcast. Discover more at reradiolive.com. reradiolive.com.